everybody, welcome back to another Dice Tower review. My name is Z Garcia.
I'm Mike Delisio.
Today we're taking a look at Expedition 20th Century, which has a subtitle, which I doubt is part of the title, that says From Zeppelins to the World Wide Web. That's a mouthful.
It is.
That's not part of the title. Expedition 20th Century. This one is a Racko-like game. If you don't know Racko, that's okay. I'll show you what this means. In which you are drafting cards. They all have a year from 1900 to 1999. So there's a big old deck in there. You're going to be drafting them. You're going to be placing them onto your own player board, following specific rules, and then scoring for having the most of, a few different things. All right? So that's the idea. Let me go ahead and show you what this looks like on the table, what it is you are doing specifically, and we're going to be right back. Here we've got the game set up and ready to begin. Each player is going to get one of these boards, of which I'm only going to be showing you one, and then you get a matching tokens. For example, this would be my board with my token there, but this player over here would have their own board with their token, okay? And I'm leaving the rest of them off the screen. Then we shuffle up the deck of cards. We put out 3 in each of these places, and then we go first player, second player, third player to begin, and we are good to go. So what are we trying to do? Well, we're going to be drafting these cards and putting them onto our board in order to score victory points. And the victory points are going to come from a few different things. So the first player to have all 6 continents shown on their board is going to get 5 points. The next player gets 4, then 3, and so on. Whoever has and that's the only thing that happens during the game. The rest of it is all end game scoring. Years gap is a card that's going to go here and a card that's going to go here. Whoever has the largest gap between the years, say I have 1909 and then 1990 here, if that's the largest years gap, I get 5 points. Next player 4, and so on. Then we've got the continent focus, means you get 1 point for every card of the continent you've got the most of. You're going to have 1 point for every decade represented on your board, and then 1 point for every year in a chain of years. Say 1954, 1955, 1956. If I have all 3 of those, that's 3 points. There is a secret decade points, which is a variant. I'll come back to that later. A couple of expansions I don't have here. And then you lose a point for every empty spot out here. And if you have any of the cards here, you're going to lose a point for each of those in your depot as well. So that is how you score, and I want to make it clear that how you score is not really the same as how you collect cards. Those two things really are different. You're doing various things to collect cards, and then once that's done, you score what is anywhere. It does not matter except for these 2 cards. If I'm looking for, say, continent focus, I get 1 point for every continent card I have the most of. It doesn't matter where it is. Anywhere in here is fine. So how do we play? Well, on my turn, I'm going to take a look at where I am. I'm right here. And I am going to select one of these cards. I am going to take that card. I am going to put that card somewhere. Let's say I take this one. I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to move to the continent that matches this. So I move over to Asia. And again, I place this. I'll come back to that. And then I draw a new card, and I play it in this column. Normally, it's recommended that you sort these chronologically just for the ease of play, but it doesn't matter, okay? So this card is going to go into one of these different areas, and it's fairly simple. So this one takes a single card. You want it to be as close to 1950 as possible, and it is a tiebreaker as well at the end of the game. If there is a tie for most victory points, whoever's closest to 1950 is going to win it. So I probably would put that there. Here we've got one era. That means that the cards need to be at most 10 years apart from the neighbors. And then up here is just a run, and then here's one continent. So all of these areas, except for one continent here, need to not repeat continent. So in this one era, I need to have, if I have if I did put this here, then I cannot have Asia show up here again, okay? Just like up here, which is just numerically going up chronologically, if I put this one here, I cannot have Asia show up again. So you can see that getting this one is going to require that all the continents be there, okay? One continent over here is the exception to that. If I put this here, then the other 2 do need to be Asia, so that's something to be aware of. Now the next player would go. Perhaps they'll take this, 1909 card. They move over here. They place a new card out. And again, I'm just rearranging these for the sake of simplicity. Then the next player goes. They're going to take 1990 here. And they stay in Africa because it's an Africa card. They take that and they replace it with a new card there. And it comes back to me. So now on my turn, perhaps I'll take... I should have waited to put the 1950 right there, huh? I'm going to go ahead and take... I don't know. I'll take this one. Okay? And I'm going to put this one right here. And I move over to there. And then we draw a new one, and we put that out. And this is going to continue with the players taking cards, placing cards, moving around. Again, making sure that you repeat no continents, and the numbers are going up. And over here, that the cards are at most, 10 years apart. So anything higher than 1975 cannot go here, just like anything lower than 1955 cannot go here. Okay. Whenever you take a card, if you want to and you can't place it or for some reason don't want to, you can also just throw it over here in one of these depot spots. The card is not going to help you whatsoever. And in fact, you'll lose a point for doing so, but you stay in the game if you do that, okay? Whenever you want to, though, you can just say, okay, I'm done taking cards. I've finished. I'm going to pass for the rest of the game. Because you don't want to take any more negative points or because you've completed your board. And that is going to trigger the end of the game. When someone has completed all of this and all the players have basically bowed out or completed it, then the game is over and we do all that scoring I explained. But if you know that you're taking a card right now you can place, and it's going to move you to somewhere where you can take a card you can place, and you think that's going to be a big boon, a big benefit, then yes, you might take one, just drop it over here somewhere, just so you move to the right place, and then maybe you can take when you pay a penalty point for that, but you end up getting something that you can use. And that's pretty much it. Once everyone bows out of the game, then you score up the, using, again, the player score sheet here. The only thing you need to be mindful of is the 6 continents during the game, but everything else is afterwards, and you see who has the most victory points. I was telling you about the variant, which is the secret decade variant. Is very, very easy. All you do is you shuffle up these cards at the beginning of the game. Everybody gets one, and then it gives you a decade that is going to be your secret decade, and for every card you have from that, you're going to get a bonus victory point. So it's just another way to score a few points based on something. I normally would throw that in just to give you a little more guidance to, if you're split between two things and everything else being equal, well, if I'm over here and everything else, again, being the same, I'll go for the 67 instead of the 86, right? So there you go. That is how the game is played. Let's go ahead and go back up top. All right, that's what the game looks like. And speaking of what it looks like, it's not much of a looker, this game.
No, I was already laughing because I knew kind of, we had discussed, we've played multiple games of this together, and the look, the aesthetic is not the best, but it goes beyond that. The quality of the components leave a little bit to be desired. I would say that they're all functional. I will say that.
Sure.
Everything is functional, but I don't know that anything is particularly attractive or is going to be something that's going to make people want to sit down and play.
I agree with all of that, yes. Everything is fine. Everything works okay. There's a couple of particularly egregious things, like these player boards are very flimsy, very cardboardy. Like they have that feeling of, if this comes anywhere near a drop of water, this is going to explode. So they don't feel great, these things. And again, that's just the company is producing something here a little more cheaply, which is fine.
Sure.
This little board here with the continents, also very inexpensive. I will say, I think the player pieces, the wooden pieces, are pretty neat. And they have different colors, which have different, the player colors give you a different shape. That's kind of neat. But yeah, so the componentry here is nothing to get excited about. What about the gameplay itself? Well, what's interesting about this game is, for me, that I like playing the game.
Me too.
I enjoy the turn-to-turn function of what's going on. And then, unfortunately, I think you agree with me here, you get to the end game scoring and you go, oh, none of the fun things I was doing tied to scoring necessarily.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned Racko at the beginning of this review, and when you actually were kind of pitching, hey, Mike, you want to try a game with me, you asked me right off the bat, did you like Racko? Mm-hmm. And I do. Right. I have fond memories of playing Racko with my grandmother as a kid. It was one of those games I liked as a kid. And so I was immediately intrigued. So the idea behind the game is one that I was, actually excited to see how it comes through. I still like that process of kind of getting them and putting them in order. I like the way that you can think a couple of turns ahead by, taking a card will tell you where you're moving your marker. That's smart. Yeah. That's really smart. It's a smart idea. But like you said, it leads to a really anticlimactic scoring, so much so that we were almost convinced we did something wrong.
Right.
It was like, this seems completely disconnected.
Yeah, and again, if you read the rulebook and you look at the scoring pad here, you'll know that, okay, these are the things I'm scoring for. But they don't really feel like what you're doing while collecting cards.
Right.
You have that run of cards at the top. Very fun to make sure that your numbers are in sequence, that you don't duplicate the continent, all of that. And then you score, and say one of the things is continent bonus. You get 1 point for every continent of the most, the one you have the most of. You get 1 point for each card from that continent. Well, the rules specifically are telling me that I can't have more than one at the top, more than one in the second row.
There's only one place you can have, really, more than one continent.
Right, which is the one continent. Right. So my score is going to be basically, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, so you can't get 10 points from that. It's impossible because you specifically can play the same continent. So then you look at that and go, wait, what game am I playing? Am I playing this game or am I playing this game? Because they seem to be different games.
Right, they do.
And so on and so on. Everything that is being scored here is so artificially tight. It's like, the years gap. Oh, I got 1900 and 1997. That's insane. There's no way you got a bigger gap than that. What do I get? 5 points. What do you get? 4. Oh.
Okay. And they're all like that.
They're all like that.
And
everything is
And it doesn't
3
really
points.
scale for player count either, which is another thing that's odd to me. It feels like in a 2-player game, there should be a different disparity of points than in a 4-player game. And there's not.
Yeah.
The scoring is just really seems completely out of touch with what else is happening in the game.
I agree. This chain of years especially baffles me. Because having 2 numbers back-to-back are fully meaningless in the game and what you are doing and what you are capturing and trying to, stay afloat. But they reward you for it, and it's such a meaningless thing. At the end of the day, at the end of the game, you look and you go, oh yeah, hey, look, I have 1937 and 1938. 2 points. Most people get 2 points from that.
That's about right.
Maybe 3.
Yeah.
So I just thought that this ended up being not the game I wanted. But this is a game I liked. This part I enjoyed. I just wish it was a different... The journey here was certainly better than the destination, and unfortunately we have to look at the whole package.
Right. Yeah, the payoff is just not there, and it's frustrating because, like you said, I am actively engaged every minute that I'm playing the game.
Yes.
And then you get to the end, and I'm utterly disappointed.
Yes.
And it's been that way every time I've played it, and we've played it multiple times across different player counts, and the experience is always the same. The range of scores is usually somewhere in the range of 5 to 6 points.
Oh, at most.
At most.
At most, yeah.
Right? And again, everyone's, seems to be enjoying the process, and this is good, and you even feel that angst, that turn angst, and so you're invested in what you're doing, but there's no payoff at all, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. For me, it's tricky to rate this because again, what score do you give a game that disappoints you every time?
Yeah.
But you have fun playing. I don't know. I guess if I assume, who cares about who wins and loses at the end, I enjoy managing this. I like, on my turn, I go, ooh, if I take that, it slots right in here, and I jump over to that continent, which means I get that next time. that's fun, you know. I will say before I give you a final score, I do not think this game scales very well.
No.
I think you want to stick to the lower player count here. If you go up to the max, which is 5, that's very chaotic.
Complete
you can't
chaos.
do that plan.
Right.
You no longer can go to a continent and really expect for something to maybe still be there when your turn comes up, unless, well, there's no one there and you'll go next. But anyway, for me, it just barely scrapes into a 6 for me. It's okay. I will play it. And if somebody really likes something about this, I don't know, it's not going to be the artwork, I guess. I don't know. Somebody's doing it for class. Like, they need to play this game for a class history project. I'm happy to do it. It's fine. I will enjoy playing the game. But man, do I wish that there was some other way in which all my effort is scored and tallied up. The tallying up is what doesn't work for me. So again, scrapes into a 6.
Yeah, and I'm coming a little bit lower. I'm coming with a 5 just because there's just that I know that I'm going to be disappointed. And I kept hoping that there was something that was going to, hey, well, maybe we'll try with a different player count. Maybe this just isn't a good 2-player game. Well, no, it's not that.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll add these little variant cards. Maybe that doesn't change anything, right?
No.
It's just the bottom line is that while I enjoy the actual process, I feel like there has to be some kind of payoff at the end, and it's just not there. And so for that reason, I'm coming in at a 5. I feel like if you could come up with a better score system for this, which wouldn't be that hard to do.
Yeah.
That there's potential here. But as it is, as this product is, I can't come close to recommending it, so it's a 5.
All right, there we go. So that, folks, is Expedition 20th Century, and that's going to do it for us today. My name is Z Garcia.
I'm Mike Delisio.
Go play some Racko.
Ha!